Welcome back to another episode of Engine Garage. Today we have a 1960s Volkswagen Dune Buggy, and this thing is beautiful. The problem is it doesn't run. So today we're gonna dig in this, figure out what's wrong with the engine, and seeing if we can take this for a little test drive. A little backstory on this. This is not mine, unfortunately. This thing is way too nice for me to have. I'm fixing it for somebody, and they have had this in their family for a number of years, but the last time they heard it run was about 10 years ago. And they have done a lot of work. They painted the frame, brand new battery box wiring. The seats look original. I mean, look at this engine. Just immaculate. Everything. Tire stands. Ooh. Yeah. When we go for a test drive, you might have to be a little careful. See that bubble in the tire? I mean, everything just looks super, super nice. So let's push this over to the shop and figure out what's going on. Before we get any further, I want to make sure this has oil. Oh yeah, brand new. You can barely see it on this silver dipstick though. There's a lot of chrome on this. Makes me a little nervous. They have the cap. This is a brand new carburetor. And you guys can't see in there, but when I press the accelerator pump, it is squirting some fuel in there, so it is functioning. Looks like we got some vacuum ports that are plugged off. Now, if you guys didn't know, I've been working on cars most of my life, but I am by no means an expert whatsoever, and I'm especially not well versed in Volkswagen engines. It's a brand new carburetor. It looks like it's getting fuel. It's either got to be a compression or spark issue. I'm leaning more towards a spark issue. I don't know how old this coil is. We're gonna take the plug out and see if we're sparking. As I suspected, the plug is like brand new. They replaced just about everything they could on this engine. Let's set that here. I don't know if that'll be a good enough ground or not, but we'll try it. Turn it towards you guys. The electrode. See if we're sparking. Let's try it. I'm not seeing anything for spark. Well, with the distributor cap being brand new, I'm assuming there's not any issue in there. And even if the timing was off, it would still spark. So my biggest suspect is this coil. All right, with our key switch on, we should be able to put the negative on somewhere on the engine to ground it, and then I don't know which coil is positive, but on one of these we should be getting battery voltage, which we are on this one. So we got power coming to the coil. I don't know if this is stock or aftermarket, but it says that this should be right about 3 ohms. This thing is reading all over the place. From what I can find online, it says it should be about 3 ohms. The primary, this is at 6 ohms. And then for the secondary, it says between 8 and 12,000. So that looks like that's good there. All right, well, since, you know, I don't have 20-foot arms, we're gonna connect this by myself button to the starter here. See if this works. Perfect. Just what I needed. All right, with the starter button, I can pull this wire and see maybe down here if we're getting spark. All right, so we're getting power to the coil, but we're not getting any spark coming out of here. I'm gonna take this coil off. I don't know if we get a bad coil or if maybe some of this wiring's messed up. Let's get this coil off. We got the coil off, or the coil exposed. Let's unplug it and get it over the bench and test it there. It might be missing, you know, a chunk. You know, right there. I think it's missing a little sliver. Everything else looks perfect. All right, with the coil off now so I can get some better readings here. Reading 3.6 for the primary winding, which is right within the parameters. And then on the secondary winding, it says it should be between 8,000 and 12,000. And it is. So this coil is actually reading good. Before we get further into this repair, I wanted to give a quick thanks to MiLESEEY Tools for sponsoring this video and sending over their TR10 thermal imaging camera. Got this outboard motor that I'm pretty sure is running on one cylinder. So we're gonna use the MiLESEEY TR10 to see if one of these cylinders is getting hotter or colder than the other. So you can definitely see here that the top cylinder is not heating up properly like the bottom one is. I'm going to test this coil, and then I'm going to clean up the contacts, make sure those are all good, and then we'll come back and test this again. I think that's fixed. Another good application for this is my AC has been blowing kind of warm, and it's summer, so I'm going to give this a recharge and see if this fixes the issue. It's got my AC recharged. Let's check it now. It was blowing about 80 when I first started it, and now it's getting down to 57. Again, I want to thank MiLESEEY for sponsoring this video. The thing I like about this version of it is it's easy to use, it's easy to read, it tracks hot and cold spots automatically. It just gives me another way to confirm my repair. I'll leave a link to the MiLESEEY TR10 down below. Now let's get back into the repair. All right, we're going to try one last test here to determine if this is the distributor or if it's the coil. Right now we should be getting, I have the key on, just put this on a ground. We should be getting 12 volts. Yeah, we're getting 12 volts to the coil. This is a manual tap test to see if coil's working. So we're just gonna take a wire lead. We're gonna connect one to ground and then take the center out of the distributor here and also put that to a ground or near a ground. And then we're just gonna tap this. Now when we tap this, we're gonna tap and let off, and as soon as we let off, we should get a spark, and if we don't, probably the coil. Yeah, getting nothing. So even though this coil is reading good, I don't think it's good. All right, I got the new coil in. We're gonna perform a bench test. This may seem chaotic, but I'll explain. So we have a battery. I have jumper cables because that's all I got. They're hooked to negative and positive as usual, and then we have the negative hooked to the spark plug. This is going into the center of the coil. You're going to put your positive to the positive on here, or I think it is 15 on some of the coils, but this is a Burrow, a German coil that I bought. I heard these were pretty good. And then we're going to take another wire onto the negative, and then we're just going to touch here and see. We're getting spark down at the spark plug when we touch this. Now let's try this with the old coil. I already did this tap test on the machine that I showed you, but we'll try it again here. Positive onto the positive, negative, we'll touch this. So we got, it let one spark out, but it's not letting multiple sparks out. The other one, every time I tap this, it was letting a spark. So there's definitely something shorting in this coil. So I'm glad we picked up a new one. So now let's put the new one on the machine and see what we get then. All right, there's one thing that I want to note that I did, so you guys aren't in the dark here, is I hooked this back up and we still were not getting the right the right amount of spark. I disconnected the choke and fuel shutoff solenoid, and now we're sparking, which is great. But with the fuel shutoff solenoid, it means we're not going to get fuel. So I'm going to feed some fuel into this manually. All right, let's try to start it now. Oh, no way. Come on. I'm pumping the butterfly because it's squirting fuel down there. Yes, come on. Does not want to idle. Might have to do a little bit of an idle adjustment there. See if she'll start again. There we go, now it's idling. Test the throttle down here. She is idling nice. I think the timing's still a little off on it though. All right, so I know it's gonna be hard to see, but there's these little notches in the pulley here that is lined up with this case. There's 3 of them. I got the distributor cap off, and then I have a test light to the negative coil to basically just ground it out here. Now what we're gonna do is just turn this distributor until this light comes on. Oh, there we go there. And right there, that should be cylinder at top dead center and this coil ready to fire, which this should be pointing this way on the cap. That's this. That should be leading to, yep, cylinder 1. If you didn't know, it's marked right there, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I believe the firing order on this engine is 1, 4, 3, 2, if I'm not mistaken. So we should be good here as far as timing goes on this. So let's get this all buttoned up, and then I'm gonna try to start this again. We got her started again. We gotta mess with this idle a little bit. Let's turn it off by the key. Let's see if it starts back up. sure does. All right, and there's one last problem back here. I know you guys can't see in here, but if we look up, there is, let me see if I can reach back here. This is the clutch linkage, and it is not hooked up, so we gotta find a nut. Gotta find a nut to go on the end here so that this arm is able to be pulled. And then we can kind of take it for a test drive. But this tire done blowed up. The wires are sticking out and everything. Every time I try to put air into it, it gets up to like 30 PSI and leaks out instantly. Since this is not mine and they had already bought new tires for this, I can probably take this for a test drive, but I'm gonna have to be real slow on this tire. Well, it's supposed to rain, so I have this thing pulled into my garage currently that I pretty much just use for storage. We did successfully get this running, which I'm super happy about, but I think we're having some issues with the valves because every time I try to start it, it's backfiring out of here, and when it gets hot, it's kind of a rough start. When it's cold, it starts okay, but when it's hot, it does not like to start. Like I've said earlier in this video, I am not an expert. I have had little experience working on Volkswagen engines. So those people that are experts out there, or if you've done a lot of work to these engines, let me know what I'm doing wrong, or if you have some tips, let me know, because like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I just like working on engines. Unfortunately, that's all the time that I have to work on this thing for this week. So there's going to be a part 2 on this where I'm going through the valves and checking out what other things are needed. I went to go press on the brake pedal and those things are just locked up. So we might have to do a brake job on this as well and hopefully get it running right. And still got to connect that clutch linkage. I'm approaching my 1 year on YouTube, and honestly, I didn't think the channel would grow as much as it did. It's actually kind of mind-blowing. So I want to thank all of the people that watched to the end. I got plenty more projects coming up in the future. If you want to see a part 2 on this, leave a like down below, leave a comment. I know this video was kind of short, but I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for when I do come out with that part 2, and I'll see you next week.